We start, though, with Venezuela, where the current state of the country's economy and its politics could spell the end of President Nicolas Maduro's tenure. Opposition parties have ramped up their push to oust the socialist leader, and in response, Maduro has raised the minimum wage for the fourth time this year. But a 40% wage hike in the face of triple-figure inflation is virtually worthless and has done little to calm tensions or win him allies, as Adefemi Akinsanya reports.
In the 3 years since Nicolas Maduro's narrow presidential win, the political situation in Venezuela has gone from bad to worse. Back in the spring of 2013, Maduro inherited an oil-rich country at the height of $100 plus oil prices per barrel. But then they crashed, leaving Venezuela drowning in its own oil. If that wasn't bad enough, opposition supporters are fighting to oust Maduro. And it's that political and economic instability that's playing a huge role in the discontent, which Maduro is trying to ease with his latest pay rise.
Para vigilar, proteger.
In order to monitor, to protect the workers' income, their salary, I've decided to launch the fourth integral salary raise of the year, up from November 1st.
Using the strongest of the government's 3 exchange rates, the 40% wage rise takes the minimum wage up to $138 a month. But that's still not much in a country where inflation is expected to reach up to 500% this year and soar over 1,000% in 2017. Maduro's razor-thin majority meant the presence of the opposition would always be felt. They're keen to put the prospect of new leadership up for public vote, and hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets of Caracas after efforts for a referendum were dashed. Maduro says he's open for dialogue with the Leopoldo Lopez-led opposition, an idea scoffed at by his wife.
There is no dialogue because there are no conditions for dialogue, and we denounce that. Right now, our deputies are at risk. They are surrounded by armed groups because that is the government's order, to fire, to repress, to intimidate.
With a shaky political system and a crippled economy, Venezuela is every day edging closer to breaking point. Adefemi Akinsanya, TRT World.
Well, for more on this now, joining me from London is Diego Moya-Ocampos. He's the Principal Political Risk Analyst for Latin America at IHS Country Risk. Diego, many thanks for joining us here on Money Talks. We've got crisis of a political level. We've got crisis economically, people in the streets, hundreds of thousands. What's the end game for Venezuela as far as you can tell at the moment?
Well, the situation is going to continue deteriorating massively. The economy is set to contract at least 11.7%. Shortages of food and basic goods are likely to continue intensifying. Now, the opposition, which controls the National Assembly, is about to declare the abandonment of the presidential post, which in practice implies that a political vacuum resulting from President Maduro not fulfilling his constitutional duties. Now, according to the Constitution, if that is the case, then elections could take place within 30 days. This is all a result of the suspension of a recall referendum against incumbent President Maduro, which could have seen his mandate early terminating this year.
I mean, as far as the crisis is concerned, we heard that Maduro himself has tried to institute another minimum wage hike. But is there any real reason to believe that economic measures like these will make any difference as long as this political crisis continues?
Well, it's too little, too late. Basically, the salary increase, what it means is that the government or the central bank will print more. This will not mean that workers' purchase capacity will be increased. This would only mean more inflation and indeed more shortages of food and basic goods. And the government is sending no clear signs of easing price and foreign exchange controls, which are the demons which are triggering this economic crisis.
And just quickly at the end, we know that many international companies have either left of their own volition or been forced out of Venezuela. Do you think there needs to be more international intervention in that country in order to help the situation?
Well, certainly the economic and political situation is very, very complicated. It has generated a humanitarian crisis which requires the opening of a humanitarian channel, especially to deal with the severe shortages of food and basic goods. I mean, The elderly are dying because of lack of medicines.
Right.
The children are dying because of lack of food, and the situation seems to have no political solution at the moment.
Yes, very sad state of affairs. Of course, we will be keeping a close eye on it. Diego Moya-Ocampos from IHS Country Risk, many thanks.